When we dive into the darkest corners of anime history, we find characters whose lives aren't just sad. They are absolute masterclasses in psychological and physical agony. To understand the tortured archetype, you have to start with Guts from Berserk. His suffering is foundational. He was literally born from the corpse of his hanged mother and spent his youth being sold into abuse and forced onto blood-soaked battlefields. But the true peak of his torment is the Eclipse, a cosmic betrayal where his best friends sacrificed their entire squad to demons. Guts was forced to watch his family be eaten alive while he pinned himself down, eventually hacking off his own arm with a broken blade just to try and save the woman he loved. Even now, he is branded, meaning he can never sleep in peace as demons hunt him every single night. He is the ultimate symbol of a man fighting a war against a destiny that wants him to crawl into a hole and die, yet he keeps swinging that massive slab of iron despite the literal holes in his soul. Then there is Subaru Natsuki from Re:Zero, whose torture is uniquely horrific because it is repetitive and invisible. Subaru doesn't just die. He experiences the full, terrifying sensation of being disemboweled, frozen alive, or eaten by a swarm of supernatural rabbits, only to reset back to a safe point. The true agony isn't just the physical pain, it's the psychological isolation. Because of his curse, he can never tell the people he loves about the horrors he has seen, or the dozens of times he has watched them die in his arms. He carries the weight of 1,000 failed timelines alone, losing his sanity in a loop of grief where he is the only one who remembers the screams. It is a mental prison that would have shattered a normal person's mind within the first few loops, yet he forces himself to stand back up, even when his eyes are glazed over with the trauma of 100 different ends. The concept of torture by fate is perfectly captured by Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan. Eren's life is a paradox of a boy who obsessed over freedom only to realize he was a slave to a future he couldn't change. Once he gains the power of the founding Titan, his mind becomes unstuck in time. He is forced to live in the past, present, and future all at once. He has to watch his own mother be eaten over and over again, knowing that his future self played a role in the tragedy. He is a man who saw the end of the world coming and realized that he was the one who had to pull the trigger. Imagine the psychological toll of looking at your friends and knowing you are going to betray them, or looking at a child in the street and knowing you will eventually be the one to crush them. Eren isn't just a villain, he is a victim of a deterministic universe that forced him to become a monster to save his people, turning his entire existence into a funeral march. Contrast this with Hyakkimaru from Dororo, whose torture began before he even took his first breath. His own father traded his body parts to 48 demons in exchange for political power, leaving Hyakkimaru as a thing, a crying, skinless mass of organs with no eyes, no ears, and no limbs. His entire life is a grueling, silent quest to kill the demons and take back what was stolen. But the tragedy is that every time he regains a sense, he is overwhelmed by the pain of the world. He gains ears only to hear the sounds of war. He gains eyes only to see the blood on his hands. He was denied the basic dignity of a human body from birth, treated as a cursed object by the very family that should have protected him, making his journey one of the most physically and emotionally exhausting struggles in the medium. Finally, we have Gyutaro from Demon Slayer, a character who reminds us that society itself can be the most effective torturer. Gyutaro didn't choose to be born into the filth and starvation of the entertainment district, and he certainly didn't choose to be born with a physical appearance that made people treat him like a monster before he ever did anything wrong. He spent his life being pelted with stones and insulted, his only solace being his beautiful sister, Daki. When he found her burned alive by a cruel samurai, the demon inside him didn't just appear, it was finally unleashed. His villainy is a direct response to a world that offered him nothing but cruelty, hunger, and hatred. When you see him hunched over, scratching at his own skin in a fit of insecurity and rage, you realize he isn't just fighting the protagonists. He is fighting the memory of every person who ever looked at him with disgust. Whether it's the physical mutilation of Hyakkimaru, the cosmic betrayal of Guts, the infinite death loops of Subaru, the forced destiny of Eren, or the societal rejection of Gyutaro, these 5 characters prove that in anime, the most powerful stories are often written in blood and tears.